uh, other information, necessary information here on the show. At 9 o'clock, we will play host to the Honorable Creighton O. Duncan. He's the Senator of Sino County, chairperson of the Senate's Committee on Autonomous Commissions and Agencies, and he co-chairs the Ways, Means and Finance Committee as well. He has been pushing an idea to switch from conventional ways of doing things in Liberia and introduce some new theories that could possibly change the narratives. And of course, he has launched what he calls the Our Movement campaign. What is this campaign all about? Following the presentation of a communication asking, craving the indulgence of his colleagues at the Senate to consider the propositions within those communications. So we will join the Honorable Creighton Duncan live on the line at 9 o'clock to tell us exactly what are some of the lines, what are some of the things he's placed in that communication. So again, welcome to the morning show on KMTV. My name is Emmanuel. It's always great to have you, man, joining us every day. Keep sharing the video. Give us your reception report. We continue to improve on our program. We take this very short break to join Melvin Jackson of Spoon Network to give us a picture of happenings here on Capitol Hill, particularly the judiciary. So let's make effort right now to join Melvin Jackson of Spoon Communications Network. Remember, today is Friday. The weekend starts today. Let's hope that you can have a great weekend. It's a great day. I think it is a sunny day on today. So, today is going to be a great day. Let the weekend be good. Melvin Jackson now of Spoon Communications Network is on the line. Melvin, good morning and thanks for joining us on the morning show.
Morning, Emmanuel, and I'm saying good morning to your many viewers.
How are you this morning? You sound very energetic. Is it the weekend?
Yeah, so normally people would like Monday, but for me I love Friday. Yeah, so we are started that we have left whether the others put done and they actually need it. So
fair enough.
When you see the day, you have to be energetic.
Fair enough, and we give God the praises for keeping us all alive and healthy. But let's go straight to the core of the issue this morning. You've been closely following the case involving Funati Kofa, the former speaker, and his colleagues there at the Temple of Justice. You gave us a clear picture of how it ended on yesterday and what do we expect on today and days to come.
So thank you, Mr. Davis. Yesterday was the final argument in the alleged arson case,
okay,
wherein the lawyers for both parties were present. Some of the defendants were also present, and the matter is coming before the magistrate court, as you may be aware. What the stage we all right now is for the preliminary hearing.
Okay.
This is not to tell you that you are guilty or not. It's just to establish whether or not the state has that needed evidence that will move the matter to a full trial at the right jurisdictions,
okay,
which will be criminal court A. So it is not to say you're wrong, you are guilty, go to jail, or whatever. No, but just to establish whether or not all of the evidence the state has, whether it is tangible to move this matter to full trial. So on yesterday, the defense lawyer filed a motion requesting the court to suppress evidence. They said all the social media evidence, audio recording, and whatever the state presented are not tangible to have the clients and rule to full trial. So on that basis, they want to suppress evidence and dismiss and discharge the defendants. To that matter, the prosecution also took the stand and said the state waived or right to what to the motion they are filed now. That is, they sat in the court for this entire week, and these motions will be presented to the court without the objective for suppressions.
Okay.
Or rather, they allow the motions or the instruments that were presented by the state to get identified and also submitted into evidence. Now that it is part of a coaching part of this and the entire trial before they want it to be suppressed, it's like you putting a losing battle.
So we can clearly say that their prayer was belated.
It was belated, and it was on that basis the judge denied a prayer or a request. And the judge ruled and said, this matter, the state did it, the defense team did it at the first trial that involved Thomas Etche and others.
Okay.
They sat again and allowed this matter, this entire instrument to get presented to the court, to get testified to, identify, and confirm. Now, before I see what you call at the scene of argument, before they came up with the same kind of motions. So it was on the basis that the judge would say no. And when this motion was filed by them, when the judge denied it, they went on Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court made it clear that you cannot sit and not object to this at the earlier stage, but rather allow it to reach this far before you want it to be suppressed.
But let me come to you quickly, Melvin. Is there any precedents where, because I don't report from there, I don't know much from the court, but is there any precedents where the defendants are given the privilege to, object to certain, presentation made by prosecution?
Yes, so the thing here is, instruments presented to the court news as evidence, when it is being presented at the early stage, you have the opportunity to object to it, and that there will be argument, and after the argument, the judge will rule if they find your objection coaching or that meaningful, then it will be sustained. But for their case, they sat in the court, they allow it to slide without the objection, but without proof of point why the objection should be sustained.
Okay.
You get that part? You could have proof of point why it should be sustained, and the prosecution still for grant and came up with all of the tactics, all of the legal citations that needed to have this being presented to the court. So that aspect, if it is passed, if they really understand, identify the instrument and say, yes, this is the instrument that they use, or these are documents to prove that, yes, this guy has the end of this kind of transactions, and it is being identified to and confirmed by the court and mark. Because it gets in the court, mark it and place it as evidence or coaching part of the case.
Okay.
So if you allow that to slide away from you at that stage, you cannot reach the final argument before you want to suppress it.
So Melvin, let me ask you this question again about precedents. Has there been any point in time where the court or any of the lower courts have accepted evidence from social media stuff to be admitted or to form, like you said, a cogent part of any case, whatever?
So, like I said, there is the first hearing that involved the first part of the defendants that are currently behind bars. Thomas Etche and others.
Okay.
That same evidence was not presented by the state. That same evidence was being identified, was being testified to, was being confirmed, and was being marked by the court.
Okay. Okay.
Now, the prosecution not proving a point at that stage when they objected. It was being ruled by the judge, and they took the judge on sent to warrant at the Supreme Court. And when they went at the Supreme Court said You will start there and they slide away from you.
Okay.
They are in place, in a code file as a coaching part of this entire case. Now you will come back and say to suppress. It means you are shooting yourself in the leg and your request is deleted. So some people at that time upheld the mature court decision.
Okay.
At that time.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't get that point from the onset of the conversation. But let me ask you, Melvin, what do we expect today?
Yeah, so yesterday they had a further argument where both parties presented the claims, the kind of claims, and why this matter shouldn't be ruled a full trial and why it should be ruled a full trial and why they should suppress evidence and dismiss the charges against the defendants and why they shouldn't. Because that's just the whole part of the entire thing about argument. You have a proof about why this should happen, why this shouldn't happen. So afterward, the judge reserved ruling on yesterday. So to this morning at 10 o'clock, we are going where in the judge will rule as the date in the first case, informing Thomas Etche in the others. So this ruling is for telling us, the public and the parties, that hey, you might say yes, the defendant or the prosecution are proving beyond all reasonable doubt why this matter should be ruled to full trial.
Thank you so much.
Or he might say this with the evidence presented by the prosecution, he sees no further best evidence or
magnitude,
that you have this matter being ruled, to function on that basis. The defendants are charged no guilty, charges travel and all that stuff. So that's what we expect this morning. And if they are rule against, then the matter will be forwarded to criminal court A, where indictment will be true against them, and then we expect full trial anytime soon.
Thank you so much, Melvin Jackson of Spoon Network, for filling us in from the Temple of Justice, where I do see, using my macroscopic lenses, the blind goddess of justice. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Melvin Jackson. Anthony Kokwe, if you're on right now, we can take you. You are the media manager there at the Liberia Football Association. Anthony Kokwe, thank you so much for joining us. Anthony, can you hear me? Anthony Kokwe, can you hear me? I don't know whether he's hearing me, but can you, if you are listening to the show, please take your microphone on mute. Unmute your microphone, please, and then you will come in. Your video is very good. I mean, we can take you for the next 15-20 minutes before we can go further to speak with our next guest this morning on the show. Remember, we do have the Honorable Senator Creighton Duncan of Sino County. He will be here on our show to talk about a cross-section of issues in Liberia. What are the new theories that he's advancing to the Liberian people or through the national discourse? Anthony Kokwe, if you're back online, then we can start this conversation here. But the conversation we have with Mr. Kokwe is all about the FIFA international window for the month of June, and that window now has closed. That process has ended, and Liberia had no chance to play any international friendly. So that's the information we got from the footballing house. And of course, the manager will be stating to us reasons why Liberia had no chance, absolutely, to participate in the process. This is the morning show on KMTV. Anthony Kokwe, good morning. I think I have to quickly send him a text. Anthony Kokwe, you have to unmute the mic. Unmute your mic, please. We will get you. Oh, yeah. Anthony Kokwe, you need to unmute your microphone, please. But good morning. Let's take this very short break and rejoin you. Thank you for rejoining us here on the morning show. The downside of technology, we keep working on it day by day to improve. But I'm quite sure that our internet system here is okay. So we will now speak with the media manager at the Liberia Football Association, Anthony Kokwe. Shortly, we give you a picture of him on the screen because we were unable to get him through video call. But the let's say FIFA international windows for the month of June has ended with several international friendlies already been played. However, the Lone Star of Liberia was not involved with any of these friendly. They weren't involved in any of those friendlies that we're talking about. Before we can talk about it, let's welcome you, Anthony Kokwe. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Emmanuel. Good morning to the KMTV family and the viewers. It's always a pleasure joining your broadcast.
Welcome back home, son.
Yeah, it's always good to be back home.
I mean, you know, I stay a news director, so when you make phone, you can read news, even a problem.
Of course.
Thank you so much, Anthony Kokwe, for joining us. Firstly, before we can go to that FIFA window issue, let's look at some of the developments at the level of the Football House of Liberia. What are some of the things you've been involved with from the onset of this 2025?
Well, thank you once again, Emmanuel. At the Football Association, there are a couple of developments taking place, and as promised by this administration since they took over in 2018 to develop football at all levels and not just on the pitch, because football game goes beyond the pitch and not just about the team going on the field to play to win the game or perhaps draw. But there are other things involved when it comes to football development that has to do with infrastructure, capacity building, referee development, coach education, and other aspect of it. So since the start of the year, there has been a couple of activities that we have been involved with. Talking about capacity building, we just concluded 3 days capacity building. One was a safeguarding workshop, and the remaining 2 days was focused on what we call the competition management system, a workshop for referees and match commissioners and assessors. So the competition management system, that's a digital tool that is being used to manage the competitions relative to teams registering their players before the game, registering their officials, and then during the game, all of those stats and details that should be placed within the various columns. And after that, when the game ends, it is through that system you are able to get all of those statistics relative to what happened during the game. It also helps you to keep records, to keep the archive of the Football Association in the competition. Okay. So the Football Association has been doing its best to ensure that we provide the necessary training for the referees, the coaches, administrators to be well equipped when it comes to using that platform. And infrastructure-wise, the Football Association, after completing several mini-page projects over the years, has again completed another mini-page. This one is in Ganta, Nimba County. That's the Combat Stadium. Another feature turf has been placed there. That was one of the venues used by teams to play league matches, but the field was in a deplorable condition. So the Football Association thought it wise to improve the facility. So another feature turf has been placed at that venue. So an expert from FIFA is expected to arrive in the country later this month to do the testing of the turf that has been installed. So once it is approved, the Football Association will immediately go ahead to do the dedication of the Combat Sports Stadium. And we also have additional 2 pitches ongoing right now at the Rawalsfield Highway and also the EBK Barracks. So those are the FIFA Arena projects, mini pitches 20 by 40 for grassroots football. So Liberia is one of 11 countries that have been benefiting from this project. So later in July, we expect that those projects will be completed and officially dedicated by the Football Association. And talking about referee development as well, for the first time in football history, one of our referees has been selected to serve as one of the match officials for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. So this is the first time Liberian referee will officiate in that competition, and she is Hannah Moses. Over the past years, she has been doing extremely well. This is her 4th international tournament, having officiated in the CAF Women's Champions League. They just ended U17 Boys Africa Cup of Nations and the All African Games. So it tells you about the level of work the Football Association is doing to make sure that we have our presence being felt there at the international level, despite the fact that our men's national team has continued to struggle to qualify for those competitions, talking about the AFCON and the World Cup, but there are other strides being made in different sectors to ensure that Liberia football is represented.
Okay, speaking of qualification is another big thing to look at, but we can table that for now. Maybe later on we'll look at it. But let's talk about this grassroots football development. Are we actually achieving anything absolutely in that direction?
Yes, we have been able to achieve, because once it comes to football or any other thing, you must start from the grassroots level, the beginning level, so that when you reach the advanced level, those who are within there can have the necessary skills, the knowledge, and all of those things that are needed to fit within that cycle. So you have to start from the beginner level. So over the years, the Football Association has been able to initiate or organize several grassroots football competitions. We have the U10, the U2 of the U15 leagues, U10, U12, and U15 grassroots leagues ongoing in 7 of the 15 counties, 7 of now the 15 counties, and just recently they concluded those leagues in those red counties, talking about MyDB, Babulu County, Nimba County. So you have an increase in the number of grassroots teams across the country, because there is a competition for them to compete in. So unlike the past where they didn't have those competitions, yes, some still had their own academy or grassroots teams, but they didn't have the opportunity to participate in these competitions, because the kids, yes, it's all about them playing, or at times they want to compete against their friends or play along with their friends from different teams. I mean, to see how best things are improving at the level of their academy or grassroots teams. So the Football Association has been helpful in that direction by organizing these competitions and also assisting them when it comes to reducing some of these financial burdens on, because once you have those teams, you have to purchase football training equipment. So the Football Association, through its Equipment Solidarity Fund, has been helping some of these grassroots teams to present at least 3 to 5 footballs to each of those teams that can be used for a period of time until the FA can be able to help another time. So that help reducing some of the financial burdens on the team as well. So we have making strides in those areas, and we also have our own program called the FIFA Talent Development Scheme.
Okay.
That is a program organized by FIFA for member associations, because if you take a look at the football landscape, we have other countries over the years that have been dominating when it comes to the World Cup, the Africa Cup of Nations, and so forth. So FIFA thought it was that instead of us having a particular country or a few group of people dominating, because those countries have the resources, have the finance to do whatever they want, carry their teams on camp for a couple of months. They have the needed equipment, they move the team on camp, that they spend a couple of months there, they have the facilities. But other countries like Liberia don't have access to those facilities and don't have the resources. So what FIFA did was to help in coming up with the FIFA Talent Development Scheme. So they assign a talent coach to each of those selected countries that are benefiting from this project. So we have a talent coach who is a Tanzanian. He spent some time in the UK, or worked with Nottingham Forest, worked with Tanzania Football Federation as a technical director. So he's here in Liberia as a talent development coach. So over the past months, he has been training these kids who are selected for the National Academy.
Okay.
So he has been training them for a couple of months, and we just concluded a nationwide scouting process, because everything is not just Montserrat. So the TDS team went across 14 of the 15 counties to see how they can be able to scout other talents, because there are some natural talents in some of these counties that we may not know about if we don't go there to see them, and we'll not be able to get everyone from Montserrat. So they went out to those counties and they were able to scout some of these talents, and they will go to the assessment stage to be able to get the best out of the best that was selected. So then they will move on to the George Weah Technical Center, where they will have the National Academy, where those players will be on the academy, going to school and doing everything on camp. So perhaps there's only a weekend that their parents will come and visit them, or perhaps be allowed to go and visit their parents.
Okay.
So with that, you have this group of players together from the U10, the U12, the U15, and the U17 age level, and then eventually moving on to the U17 team, the U20 team, and the senior national team. So you have a program where you are able to get players within the pipeline as your team continue to grow at the senior level. So you won't be struggling to get players, because you have this cream of players, the best of the best, that are on National Academy and are going through the ranks and files of different age categories, and then moving on to the senior national team. That's how other countries are improving or now dominating in certain areas, because it took them time to build from the grassroots level, and today they are reaping the fruit of those sacrifices that they made from the grassroots level. So those are things that we are also involved with at the Football Association. So we are on part. It's going to take some time. It's a process. It's a gradual process, but as time goes by, we're going to be able to get the result of it.
Mr. Media Manager, do we have a database to establish how many grassroots football teams we have in Liberia?
Yes, we have that database, but for now I can't give you the
stats
number, because so all those teams that participate in the LFA grassroots leagues, they are registered, and you must be able to register your players as well within the Team Connect system. So we have that database of teams that are within the rural grassroots competitions in rural counties. So in 9 of the 15 counties, all of those grassroots teams that are participating in the league, we have those database and those players. So once those leagues are going on, scouts also go around to see who are some of those talents that they can be able to get from there to form part of the TDS program. So there are a number of grassroots teams, and there has been an increase in it, because we didn't have these grassroots leagues running in those counties before. Even in Montserrat, it was just occasional competitions that were held to give kids the opportunity to have fun. But now you have these leagues running competitively, where grassroots teams have the opportunity to compete annually.
I might be speaking from ignorance, but what I do know is that Liberia has been one of the underdogs in almost all of the competitions that we've participated in, particularly the national team, the men team, the soccer team. We have desperately performed with honor, performed despite some of the resources, the encouragement whatsoever. Has it come to a point where Liberia, maybe like I said, I'm speaking from ignorance, but has it come to a point where Liberia has to forget about some of these international matches and sit for like 5-10 years and really prepare ourselves before participating in some of these international competitions?
Well, those are points that others been pushing and others disagree with it. And we at the Football Association also have diverse opinion on that. So once it comes to football development, like I say, it's a gradual process and it takes time.
Okay.
So at the moment, at the Football Association, the survivability of the institution and our various programs that I just mentioned, the TDS, the grassroots leagues, the league, the first, second division, upper women's division leagues, the survivability of those leagues squarely depends on what we get from FIFA called the subvention through the FIFA Forward program. That is, annually FIFA gave a specific amount in January that should run your operation.
You want to tell the public that amount for the sake of transparency?
Just a few minutes so I can get my hands on the document.
Okay.
So I can provide the wrong figure to the public. So annually FIFA provides that amount to help the Football Association to run its operations. So on an annual basis, it's a full year cycle.
Okay.
So initially we had the FIFA Forward 1.0, FIFA Forward 2.0, so now we are into the FIFA Forward 3.0.
Okay.
So in accordance to the FIFA Forward 3.0, the Liberia Football Association is entitled to specific amounts, and those amounts are into various categories.
Okay.
So for a period of 4 years, 2023 to 2026, the Football Association is entitled to $3 million United States for that 4 year cycle.
Okay.
For project. So these projects is based on projects that you as a Football Association, your executive committee and members of Congress sit down and say, based on our ecosystem, our football ecosystem, these are the things that we think are needed or are important right now for us to be able to get or implement.
Okay.
So you sit down and agree on that. It's not just a single person thing where the president just sit and write to FIFA and say we need this and then send a communication. No, it has to be agreed upon by the executive committee, people voted for by Congress. So $3 million is given for projects for a period of 4 years, 2023 to 2026. So after that amount was that document was sent, the Football Association through its executive committee sat down and came up with what we call tailor-made projects. Those are projects that suit your situation as a Football Association. It doesn't have to be the same way Ghana using that $3 million or Senegal using that $3 million. So
of course,
everyone's condition is different.
Okay.
So within that $3 million from 2023 to 2026, 100,000 was allocated for the FIFA Talent Development Scheme. Okay. So you have the program that I just talked about earlier. So 100,000 was allocated for that, and then support the women's national teams. So in Liberia over the years, it was just recently that the government provided 134,000 to assist the senior women's national team to go Mauritania and participate in the competition, the Waffles women's competition, where they finished as third place winners. So government provided 134,000 to help in that direction. But over the years, when the LFA read the Ministry of Youth and Sports, or the government to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, they said that due to some financial constraints or maybe competing priorities, the government was unable to fund all of those national teams. Because once you say national teams, they are the responsibility of government, and it's not just the men's senior national team. You have the men's senior national team, the under 20 boys, under 17 boys, and then the women's, the senior U17, U20, just like that. So there are lots of national teams. But the government said due to competing priorities, they were only able to sponsor the men's senior national team and the women's senior national team. However, the support for the women's senior national team wasn't coming forth as promised. So the Football Association, in that $3 million, allocated 200,000 as support towards the senior women's national team. Okay. That is to compete international competitions. The team had to go on camp before departing and so forth. So 200,000 was allocated for that.
Anthony,
then we have,
Anthony, I know, I know these are very good pieces of information you are providing to the public this morning through our medium. But have you been able to do what I call proactive disclosure as a football body in the spirit of transparency, like you are doing? I mean, I don't have to call you before you appear on my show to say these things. You could say, okay, let's call a press conference and give a breakdown of all of the activities, the funding, the usage of the funding that we are getting from FIFA and all of those. Are you involved with that?
Of course, this is something that the Football Association been involved with since 2018 when Musa Raji took over, because this is an administration that campaign on 3 key pillars: reform and compliance, good governance, and football development. So this also forms part of the good governance and also being compliance as well.
Okay.
So the document I'm reading from is a document that was crafted, designed by the media department of the Football Association.
Okay.
And then it was distributed to all football stakeholders that are involved with football, having their teams in the first, second division, women's division, and so forth.
Okay.
It was also distributed to members of the media, to the Sports Writers Association, because these are people.
I didn't get a copy though I'm a member of the Sports Writers Association.
Yeah, so we have to talk to the leadership to add you in the Sports Writers Association chat room.
Okay.
So this document was distributed in that chat room, and as always, we are always open. Once anybody wants it, we're always willing to provide the document. Like I said, I wanted to read directly from it instead of just quoting figures off head.
Yes,
so,
you want to be fast in doing that. Just summarize, because we still have this FIFA issue, and then our guest comes on at 9 o'clock.
Okay, so that 3 million is used for different projects. So the Football Association used that 3 million to outline different projects that they allocated specific amounts for. We have the construction at the Feature Turf, 1.2 million. So that the Feature Turf, one of has been constructed. That's the Compass Sports Stadium. So there are other facilities that we have to reach agreement with the owners before any project can be carried out there. So the remaining funding from that amount will be used to construct at the Feature Turf to that place. So we have the transport project, purchase of operational vehicles for the secretariat and sub-associations, because we have sub-associations in the 15 counties.
Mm-hmm.
So about 10 motorcycles were purchased recently and will be distributed to those sub-associations.
Right.
And we also bought additional 2 vehicles, one for the general secretary and one for the FIFA talent development coach, because he's here as a coach assigned by FIFA, and we can't have him just riding in a vehicle up and down. So a vehicle was purchased for him. And like I said, these are decisions that are not just made out of the blue sky. Before you use any of this funding, even though you already told FIFA how you want to use it, you must be able to justify why you want to use it for this purpose, and then FIFA has to approve it before you can even go ahead.
Okay.
And that 3 million is not in the LFA's account. It's with FIFA. Once FIFA approves it, they send the funding out before you go ahead to implement it.
Okay.
So that's for projects. So we have the equipment solidarity, 200,000 for 4 years, and then travel solidarity, 1 million for 4 years.
Okay. Okay, Anthony, I know that document is voluminous. So
yeah.
So we could find time, man. Let's find some time, pay some money to the morning show so that you can come have a full hour of discussion, to inform the public on some of the great works you guys are doing at the Liberia Football Association. So we just hold you there at the moment. Go to the next topic. Our key topic that has to do with this FIFA window thing. It all comes back to money issue and all of those. I had too many questions to ask, but time is not in our favor, so let's just maintain it as it is. Let's come to this. FIFA international window for the month of June has ended, as you know, with several international friendlies already played. However, my country, Liberia, did not have the chance, the opportunity to play a single friendly, and that window has closed. Is there a chance to open a door to do this, and why didn't we have the chance to participate?
Well, Emmanuel, these are things that we at the Football Association are cognizant of. That is the FIFA international window. So when the June window was approaching, the Football Association did a budget and submitted to the government, to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, that we have the FIFA international window coming up in the month of June. And it could be a month that we can use to prepare for the World Cup qualifiers matches that we have in September, because FIFA have their own calendar where national teams are afforded the opportunity to play. So a national team can just wake up and go and play anytime. because these players that we use on the real national teams come from clubs, and the clubs are competing in Europe to unleash across the country or the continent or the world. Because if we have foreign-based players like the Oscar Dole, Samson Due, and so forth, they are all playing for their club teams in their respective leagues. So you just can call them from their clubs anytime to go and play for the national team. So it is during the international break that these teams come about. Okay. So the LFA sent a budget to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Unfortunately, government said it has other competing priorities, and due to some financial constraint, the government was unable to provide the funds for Liberia to play international friendly this month. So the team, if everything would have gone well, the team would have traveled to Morocco, where they were going to compete against other Mauritania and any other team that were available in Morocco, because Morocco over the years has been providing this opportunity for African countries who didn't know that they have struggling or don't have the facilities. So we have over 19 to 20 African countries that were in Morocco this June to play just international friendlies. So unfortunately we couldn't go there, and those are things that affect our performances in the competitions whenever we go on qualifiers, because now that we didn't play any friendly September window, we won't have the opportunity to play any friendly before that time. So we're just going to go into the game for September. So those are things that also affect our rankings on the FIFA table, because those that play during this FIFA window, once you win a game and based on the points you accumulated, you will go higher on the FIFA rankings table. So as always, once you are below, when there's time for draw, you will always be considered as one of those least performing teams based on your ranking. So these are things that also affect the national team performance. And this is not just this administration, or Liberia has made several international FIFA windows to play friendly matches during past leadership, and not just dating back as far as the early 2030s time as well. So it's a serious challenge, and these are things that affect the growth and development of football, the improvement of the national team. So it's something that has been happening, and we hope and pray that these are things that will work on in the near future, so that our players, our teams can have the opportunity to participate in these friendlies and competitions to help strengthen and build a team, because it's not just about the team winning, but it provides opportunity for the players to go and showcase to a wider audience. And who knows, from those competitions or friendlies, someone could be scouted. Today we are fortunate enough to have more players, the increasing number of Liberian players going to Europe to play in European competitions, and next year we'll see some of them featuring in the UEFA Champions League. That's a great news for us. So we have to keep doing more so that we can have more Liberian players out there.
Anthony Koko, any final thing you want to say before we can take leave of you?
Well, thanks to KMTV for having us, and as a Football Association, we remain open to transparency, providing all of this necessary information to the public. There is nothing in hidden, like the president always said, at the Football Association. So once the information is available, the public will definitely be informed about it. So again, thanks, and thanks to the Liberians, the football clubs, the owners, the supporters who continue to support those players on their respective clubs, hindering those teams, because you know in Liberia it's very tough and challenging to run your own team because you don't have sponsorship. But in spite of all of those challenges, they still keep running these teams and improving those players who later are caught up to the national team and getting the results that we want. Sometimes we don't get the results. So just to thank them for their sacrifices, and all Liberians who continue to support the country football development in spite of the results the national team gets. But they still support football, still remain fans and supporters of the Dog Stars. So that's something very commendable, and we must continue to applaud Liberians for that.
Thank you so much, Anthony Koko, media manager at the Liberia Football Association. It wasn't actually an uphill task getting you. Thank you so much, Anthony Koko. We hope to speak with you after the show. Well, this is the morning show on KMTV. My name is Emmanuel Davis. We take a very short break to usher in our second guest. Okay, I'm told that our guest is already on, so let's go straight into business this morning. A very warm good morning and welcome to the Honorable Creighton O. Duncan of Sino County. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, my brother?
Can you work on my audio a little? It's like buffering in my ear from the studio there. Okay. All right, good morning again.
Good morning. How are you today?
Okay, I'm fine, thank you. We managed to get you. Okay, thanks for joining us on the morning show. Honorable Creighton O. Duncan is Senator of Sino County, and chairperson of the Senate's Committee on Autonomous Commissions and Agencies. He also serves as the co-chair of the Ways, Means and Finance Committee. He's recently been pushing an idea to switch from conventional ways of doing things and introduce new theories that could possibly change the narratives in Liberia. We will also look at his legislative activities back home, that's in Sino County. You know, he's been serving as senator for a year plus now, including the 3 cardinal legislative functions provided for by the Constitution of Liberia, plus, you know, one purely invented by politicians. And that invented one is what I call the fulfillment of campaign promises. Am I correct on that, the Honorable Duncan?
Of course you are.
Yes, I'm trying. Okay. Let's see. Sorry. Okay. I think it's much better now. Much better. And so let's go straight to the discussion this morning. You've been having several public appearances, particularly on various radio stations, talk shows, championing your cause. A cause that I want to say is a one soldier fight at the moment, because you have to convince others before they can join your cause. And of course, you've titled this Our Movement. But let me ask you, someone say a part of the movement too, Senator?
Every one of us. But man, you the new man on it, because it is you journalists that are sacrificing your time. You are not getting paid for what you are doing. That's the value of your effort in contributing to this society. What you are getting on a monthly basis can never even come close to my fingernails on that. So you have the opportunity to use your platform and educate our children, educate our people. Because as I believe, all of the time, since we've been growing up, the only thing that I have been listening to has been corruption, corruption, corruption. It is strongly believed that only corruption is the cause of our poverty in this country. And over the time, I grew up believing that corruption was the reason why we are poor. But as I said, education has no ending. And I have taken the time over the years to learn. Now I am convinced. I will not be convinced. I wouldn't say what I'm saying if I wasn't convinced. Remember now, we've been in the academic arena. I've been teaching the university, the United Methodist Universities for 3 years. I also taught auditor master's program for 5 years. It has no ending.
Yes, sorry, we're experiencing a little challenge getting you, but you are live. You're clear on the internet, just that from our system here. But let me just ask you this question while you are going ahead. We can try to sort things out from our side here. I'm quite sure that there is this campaign or public awareness you've embarked on, though I wasn't listening carefully because my headset is not bringing your voice through, as a private citizen but a public servant. Tell us what's driving this conversation.
Here is the fact. From research that I've made and that has convinced me, there is an author that is called Cheikh Nana Diop. He wrote a book that talks about how our international partners that we rely on have devised strategies to keep us separated. And as long as we are separated, we are going to remain poor. as they exploit our resources. So he said that they will never allow us to unite. They will support leaders who are serving their foreign interests. He also stressed that they should always see that Africa is weak and never to be industrialized. He stressed on that the education system that is being introduced to us is produced to make us workers and not innovators. You see, with those kind of a saying, there's a lot of things under that. They also say that they try to own our media in our country in order to do what? To control the narrative. So with all that I have learned, you know, I went to the US, I left from here as a high school graduate, I went to the US, I went to the North Hennepin Community College in Brooklyn Park, I went to the University of Minnesota, then I went to the Strayer University Master Program. But over the time, researching, following, I am now convinced that what Diop is saying is a fact from my observation. So I have concluded that 20% of our suffering in this country is based on corruption. But 80% of the reason why our people are very poor is based on the policies that we have in place. And so I have decided to launch this our movement to educate our children, talk to you guys on the panel that has thousands of listeners, to bring about a debate. If I'm wrong, I will stand to be corrected. If I'm right, then this movement must continue to grow in order to change the narrative, that our people can benefit from our resources. And I gave you some examples. The issue of self-initiative that we should be able to do ourselves is the driving force behind my thought process. If you look at our partners, they are not here to help us in any way, and no one should be fooled. They're only here to keep us surviving and to keep the market open. Market to supply the goods, the finished goods and products, and market to extract and exploit our resources. So they can't afford for all of us to die. There's no profit in a dead man. So they will keep the population going, involve themselves into health, in our health sector, not to make it sustainable, but to keep us living and to profit from us. All that they believe in is profiting. Our gold minerals of last year were 7.8 tons of gold exported from Liberia. 1,000 kilograms is 1 ton. 1,000 kilograms is 1 ton. 1 gram is $109 US on the world market. Calculate 1,000 kilo, which is 1 ton. That's all 109 million United States dollars for 1 ton. Times that by 7.8, it will tell you what is happening in our country. What is the benefit from those people that are living on those lands that our resources have been extracted from? One thing I want you to understand is, before the 1986 Constitution, it was indicated in our Constitution that the government of Liberia has the right to issue concessions. But after the 1986 Constitution was brought into enforcement, the framework of that Constitution deleted that part and replaced it to say, in Article 22B, it says all mineral resources under the earth, under the waterway, in the sea of the Republic of Liberia belongs to the Republic.
Okay.
They didn't say it belongs to the government of Liberia. The word republic means to the people
Okay.
of this country. And that is why when you, for an example, I'm living in, say, Douala. We are the owners of Douala. And Douala discovered gold mineral deposit under her soil. It becomes the ownership of the people of Douala. And if the people of Douala are not able to mine those resources, they will call the rest of the Liberians to join them in mining. If the Liberians are not capable of mining their resources, then we become employers. We employ people from outside to come and work for us by entering into agreement where we can say, we pay you $1 million a year to get my gold out. We can go into an agreement and say, you can take 20% or 30% of what you take out and give me the balance, 60% or 70%. All of that will help our people to improve their lives. But what is happening is if you go to B Mountain now, B Mountain exported $800 million worth of gold out of our country last year alone. And that's what they reported.
Okay.
That they must have over $1 billion worth of gold. The people in Cape Mount that own the land are not they stay in the mud houses. The road going in the homes, in the towns are still dirt road. Nothing improved in the educational sector, in the health sector. Nothing sophisticated in the clinics, in the hospitals that is different from government because government may not have all the money needed for those kind of investment around the country. And so what happened is they gave you 3% and then they let you to live on royalty. Or royalty is that they never make profit for you to get your royalty. They always operating under losses, but you will never ever see them packing up to go. They are still here. And so if you sit down and look at it, you know that we use as a people. And that is why I believe sit down and pay attention to our resources and use those resources, change our policies. And policies should bring it back to the Liberian people. It will be difficult to solve, it will be difficult not to handle the issue that we are in based on a 5 million population. 5 million population, but rich in natural resources. And people may ask me, but Duncan, why are you not talking to the national legislature? You are a member of that institution. Of course I'm talking to them. I have put in a lot of communications. One of the communications will be coming up next week Tuesday.
That was Honorable, that was my next point I was coming to. I just thought that you were laying the basis for the entire conversation, and we want to apologize to our viewers, including you, that from the onset of the conversation we weren't getting you, but now we have our sound system, everything in tight. But let's come to the communication that you proffer, craving the indulgence of your colleagues to buy this your idea. Someone could say you are a part of the legislature. You've written a communication. 2 weeks period was given to the committee that is closed with the authority to look at that communication that you proffer to plenary. Why don't you wait and hear from the committee before you come into the public domain?
Because
maybe you are sensing defeat from your colleagues already.
The point here is very simple. The national legislature is a political-based institution. And everyone in those two houses that constitute the legislature have their interest.
Okay.
And are one way or the other aligned
political
with
interest.
some political party.
Okay.
Either the ruling party or the opposition party, or being independent but still relying on someone. Now, if you bring in issues on the floor yes, people will see sense in it and they will join you to fight. But who are we fighting for? Who are we representing? We are representing the Liberian people. And so my strategy is not to leave it in a
this morning.
I am, honestly.
Okay.
And what they do, after they come and tell you, the IMF say, if you don't cut the salary, what happens? They will not support, they will not give budget support. As a matter of fact, the president, we are so much until, I don't know what was really wrong with him as a leader, to sit there and start cutting the salaries of people. You don't cut salary. International law, salary goes up. You can slow down employment. You can undo employment. But you cannot reduce because every day prices are going up. He came and jumped in to poor people's salary and started reducing salaries. Today,
you were a part of that system. You were a part of that system. You were a part of that system. You didn't speak against it by then.
But you see, this is what I'm seeing. You talk about these things, but nobody hear you. And so that's why I'm tired of hiding in the corner, talking on the floor.
You are outside now.
I've been speaking. Yeah, I've been speaking in the House of Representatives. 73 men, they look at 73,000 human beings. 73 men in that one building look like 73,000 human beings. Same way, 30 men out there look at 30,000 human beings. So I have learned over the time. What is not good for me shouldn't be good for you.
Okay.
But now, yes, they're not making me poor. They're not making legislature actually poor. What they are doing, they are making our citizens poor. Tomorrow is Saturday. Come in front of my friend. Last Saturday, I checked over 125 old people, men and women, coming for just handout.
Which is not only unique to you.
No. But they want us not to even be able to help our people. But if a Chinese man or Indian man or a Turkish man come to Liberia, or whoever alien come to Liberia, come broke, and maybe having more money than him, go and jump into our resources, and in the next 2 to 3 years, he's leading all of this country here as a multi-millionaire. Look at our All Black. Right now, in a few days, there is a discussion about All Black being given to local in order for local to find people to invest into the All Black. There was a discussion there yesterday. But it's a way raised that issue, I think, on the floor. And in that process, think about it. Who will be taking the All Black? They will all be. There was a Nigerian guy doing Ellen Johnson time who spent $200,000 to get an All Black. $200,000. That if I don't have 2 or 3 black, but nobody in Liberia wants a Liberian man to own a black. But the Nigerian guy took $200,000, bought his All Black, and sold it for $200 million. And he didn't just stop there. He still has 7% share in that All Black. Can you imagine how crazy and naive we as Liberians are? That the thing that God gave us under the sword, we should not have the right to it, but foreigners can come in to have the right to it and better the family. And after they have been benefited, you as a Liberian cannot go to them to be helped. That is the most crazy part. And let me tell you one thing again. In the United States, that everybody look up to, they have something there they call the Pope barrel. In the Pope barrel, everything about that state for the senator is put into that Pope barrel through the budget. Everything about that congressman who is a representative from that district is put into that. So they do not have to spend $1 or single dollar to change the lives of the people in the United States.
Okay.
Unlike that here in Liberia, we don't have a Pope barrel. We don't have money allocated for nothing around here. Now, the people in our county look to us to do these things. Do you know, as we speak presently now, before telling you that, give me a minute. Do you know that I was a representative just for one term?
6 years.
And now I'm senator. Do you think the Oakland Saints is looking at on this television here? That because the Oakland all Saints, and the people look at and say, that man say, oh, and Oakland, so let's go make him a senator after serving there for 6 years? No, it is because of the work that I'm doing for them. And that is not my responsibility. We have, according to the whole world, three cardinal responsibilities.
But from
development is not part of it.
From the onset of my conversation, I said you brought this upon yourselves as politicians, because when you go to political processes, you make these ambitious promises that you cannot keep as politicians, so that you can buy the votes of the people. I think it's a sign of psychology that you are using the same psychology that you are against today. That's why you politicians use to get the votes of the people.
But think about it. Unless you don't have heart when you are living among people. That I'm now living in Monrovia because of work. My people are trying to send me here. The people that come to my gate, I should have a blind eye to their plight or their poverty-stricken plight to come here. Even if I don't have money and I share $500 Liberian dollars to everybody that comes, 100 persons, you can see the smile in their faces. And I ask myself, what would this 500 do? Now, in your county, you are elected, and you say, it is what we say, the psychology. When you look at your people in no school, and you look at your people in the market, there is no market for them to be on. Let me give you one reason. Let me give you one thing here. This year,
because I want us to go to that American stock issue. I did a short research, and I want to read a few lines on that quickly.
And you saw the truth. You saw the truth of it, right?
So yes, let me just come to it. I was reading an article last night because I have been closely following your conversation from different radio stations here in Montserrado County. Can an American congressman, do stock business in America? That research says yes, American congressmen can own and trade stocks. However, they are subject to limitations, and that's one of the key words. Subject to limitations imposed by the Stock Act, which requires them to report their stock trades. This act aims.
You know what laughing at you for?
Why are you laughing?
You know what laughing at you?
Why are you
At
laughing?
least they gave them the opportunity to benefit from their country resources.
But
they come to us, the African, the black man, and tell us you can't do it, but because it is conflict of interest.
But there are laws.
But then
there are people who uphold their laws. They are people of let me say, quote unquote, ethical standards. Their system, their structures are things that they do.
What's the name again?
I'm Emmanuel Davis.
What's the name?
Emmanuel Davis.
Emmanuel. I'm not copying you all, but I like that ethical standard. You heard what Donald Trump said a few days?
What did he say?
The agency that is responsible to help the poor people around the world. You say. What did Donald Trump say about them here in Elon Musk? They are charged with corruption. What are you talking about? No, I tell you, you see, the way they want, you know what they believe? Let me tell you one story about us. The first thing, the white men look at us and say, we are 1/3 of a human being. The great United States in the Constitution, before this.
Who says that?
Label us, they label us, when you are journalist, they label us in the Constitution.
No, you could just give me a clue so that I don't find it difficult finding that kind of stuff, But just go ahead.
I will definitely give you that, but let me give you the story first. What encouraged them to enslave the black man in the United States is because we are not as equal human as they are. And based on that law that made black men to be 1/3 of the human, it gave them the right to use the black man as property. Now, what I want you to know, they also believe that our medulla, the method of thinking is not equal to theirs. And so all they try to do in this world is to keep us poor. Look, listen, I want to tell you one thing. Look at the issue of World War II. You know what brought about World War II?
What is
It
it?
was after Germany decided that it is time for them to get out of the penalty of World War One, because the people were suffering. The Jews were the elite in Germany. They were the business people. They were the elitists. They were enjoying Germany resources, and that angry Hitler with his citizens. Now, when World War II came and Europe was destroyed, that's when brought about the birth of the United Nations,
Okay.
the IMF, and the World Bank. The IMF was created for the reconstruction of Europe, and the World Bank, both of them. They were brought about for the reconstruction of Europe, not to construct. So all that I want our people to know, there is something we call economic liberation. It is time for us to pay attention to our liberation economically.
Okay.
Countries that have bought these ideas over a short period of time of 20 years or less have transformed. I gave you an example. Maybe you will say it is too far. Vietnam. Vietnam from 1993 to 2013, 20 years of following the economic liberation strategy, they reduced poverty from 50% to 3%.
That's a huge number. That's a huge progress.
That's a huge number. Look at China. China from 2000 to 2020, my brother, that 20 years, China was able to reduce her poverty from 49% to 0.6%. 0.6.
Let me
1%.
Let me pull it to you, Honorable Duncan. Members of the legislature, including you, hold incredibly powerful positions that allow you guys to make, policy decisions that would impact all Liberians. How can our principal deputies help in this matter? Because, quote unquote, I want to brand you as a lone soldier, an undecorated soldier, still in the bush, trying to find his way to town. How far can you carry this conversation to your colleagues, and of course with the incredible power that the legislature possesses to change the narratives?
We do have the power to do so. But here is the issue. As I said to you, that institution is a democratic institution, and it is highly political. Everyone in there has the interest.
You could survive. You could survive that place using your lobbyistic power.
Definitely. Nevertheless, we are talking about the Liberian people. Let me give you one example of recent. I came from making a county tour in telling my people thank you. And I went across one of our rivers to go as far as King William Town, the end town. There's a border town between Grand Crew and Sino. My brother, on my way going and coming, I saw how our rivers were polluted from these miners. I came to Monrovia and I wrote plenary complaining the EPA for not paying attention to our environment. And I needed a redress. The EPA was summoned, and the EPA in response said, we don't even have to go to Sino to go and see what happened in there. Can you imagine? And what happens today from that complaint? After EPA left, everything is dead. The water still runs red. And I'm going to raise it again. So what I'm trying to tell you, that flow is political. Everyone comes from the county with their county interest in their heart and mind. And many times they are seeking the interest of their citizenry in the county. When it comes to the national issue that unite us, some people lean on party. Some would not want to say, let's put our feet down to change this, because it will be seen as they are leaning, they are weak, and the ruling party or the ruling governance is being seen weak. and not doing the works of the Liberian people.
Okay.
So you will find all kinds of interest within the national legislature. That's why it is a political institution.
Okay.
Nevertheless, if I am fighting solo, I want to pressure them through their constituents and constituencies.
Okay.
So that they can be able to pressure the lawmaker when they are understanding the facts. Education is the key. So if I am talking, you know, as I said, as old as I am, all of my life I've been thinking it was corruption that was the cause of our suffering only. Now I realize corruption is part of it, but it's not all of it. So do you know how long it took me to understand that? From Kenneth Best's time, when Samuel Doe was here and the Daily Observer newspaper came up. Every morning we are running to buy the newspaper to read about Samuel Doe and corruption. As a young boy, that's when my eyeball began to open during Samuel Doe time.
Okay.
So, and I became Monserrato Student Union president under Linsu.
Okay, so you understand student politics.
Yes, Larry Tukpa was the president for Linsu, and Thomas Drew was the secretary. I was the president for Monserrato Student Union. So at that time, at my eyeball, I was having that energy, vibrant, running around.
Okay.
But everything I learned was government was corrupt. Up to today, government is corrupt. And that is all into our young people, that is all into our people in this country. So as these guys are making us to feel that everyone in this country is corrupt,
isn't that a fact?
Honor our resources.
Isn't that a fact? Honorable, isn't that a fact? That we are inherent, that we as a country, we are inherently corrupt, and you are trying to, abuse our minds, abuse the minds of Liberians who, quote unquote, have been psychologized by the West to believe these things. Isn't that a fact?
But listen to me. I am telling you 100 times that human being by nature is corrupt.
Okay.
The great United States that talk about corruption and fighting corruption, she is also corrupt.
Okay.
That has been demonstrated and expressed exclusively by the present president. I am not ruling out corruption in Liberia.
Okay.
Corruption, but I believe it is just 20% of our poverty.
Okay.
Our policies that we make are the cause. Let me give you one. Let me just bring something here to you. Think about this new issue of this concentrator.
No, honorable, we will come there, please. It's another topic by itself, please. We will get there. We will get there. Let me just again, let me hold you there. Let me again inform our viewers that he needs no introduction to the body politics of Liberia, uniquely to the people of Sino County. His name is Honorable Creighton O. Duncan. He's the senator of Sino County, one-time representative. He served 6 years and again got the blessing, but to ascend to the Liberian Senate. He's been there for like a year and plus. And so he is the chairperson of the Senate's Committee on Autonomous Commissions and Agencies. He co-chairs Ways, Means, and Finance as well. He's been here in Liberia, particularly Monserrato County, and of course, I know some of your programs have been relayed back home. He's been pushing an idea to switch from the conventional way of doing things in Liberia and introduce something new. It's a very big fight. It's something very big that he's trying to push in his Pan-Africanist voice this morning on the morning show. Let me come back to you. How true is it that this discourse seeks to benefit you as a person or a group of people who have already helped the same people, our international partners, you are today accusing of, milking the Liberian people of their God-given resources?
This is all that's what they want you to believe. And then what they do, as they criticize us and curse us and make you to denigrate us, then they are on our soil, exploiting and stealing our resources. Let me give you an example. I, Creighton Duncan, been a businessman since I came back from the United States.
Okay.
That was 2009. I got back. I've been doing business. I've been in all kinds of businesses. But let me get to it. When I got, you see, we make the law, but we don't understand, we don't know the law, but we make the law. We are not lawyers that research all of the law,
Okay.
but we are very good at making them. All right. Now, when I got in the legislature, I brought my business idea into it. As a representative, I always visited China. I like to travel. That's part of yes, I like to travel. So I use this time now to travel looking for investors. So far, I think I have bought about 4 companies in Liberia that are presently functioning. But let me just tell you about a little funny secret, to tell you that how honest I want to be in this thing. And I have made up my mind, nothing going to stop me back.
Okay.
When the Liberian people finish cursing me and damming me up, some of them will understand it, and then in the end, they will join me for us to fight.
Okay.
I tell you, I went to China one time, and I got one company who were never involved into forest business. So I convinced them that we should be able to have value added to our forest in Liberia, where we build a plywood manufacturing plant. We'll be able to cut lumbers and timbers in that factory. They were never doing that before. In China, they are involved into solar panel, into medical, different machines they're producing those things for the medical facilities around the world. That's what they sell. So when I convinced them to invest into the forest, I brought them to Liberia. My man, with the joy, I took them to Sino. I called a very big meeting in a place we call Bana. And now in Tatwe, it wasn't Bana. I took them to Tatwe. And I called the citizens of Tatwe, bragged to them that I brought these guys. As a matter of fact, I have about, I think, 20% share in the business. And I'm in there because I want to make sure that the people do the right thing, our people benefit, and I was all kind of political stories I was giving my people. They were all happy. As soon as I left from there, the newspaper, the news, the radios, everybody picking up. Oh, Donkey is investing, and he's not supposed to invest. I said, it seems there's something wrong with you guys.
And I do have something on it I want to read quickly before you can.
So let me just explain this to you.
Okay.
And so I said, okay. I said, something wrong with you guys. Let him go ahead. This is my country. I got a right to. They brought a law. They say you don't have the right to invest. I said, oh, for true? I said, why? Because I represented it. They say, yeah, that of interest. That was the big terminology they used. I went and took my name from them. Now, I started. I said, oh, so because I'm a representative, so I have been barred. I said, I ain't got a problem with that. I went again to China another time because I think I've been to China over 15, 20 times. I go there because it's an open market there.
Okay.
I went to China again one time. I met another company in gold. So I said, okay, come to La Paz. I bought a 65-acre land to do mining. I mean, not mining, to do agriculture on. So I started building my blocks and started doing some things there in order for me to do how you call it, animal husbandry. You understand? So somewhere in Bentor, And then while doing that, cutting the place, my boys stumbled on gold. So I said, okay, according to our law now, they're not conflict of interest anymore. According to our law, they won't honor me now.
Yeah.
On my land. So if I want to do it, to harvest it, I will call the other people and then the government, blah, blah, blah. When I went to China, I went to the Liberian embassy. To tell you now how naive I was. They didn't know that when you own it again, when you honor your land, then you can do it. I went to the embassy. I bought this company. We stood up by the ambassador in his office. We wrote a memorandum of understanding. We signed it. The ambassador attested it. I took pictures. I sent it to Liberia while I was still there. For you to go in the newspaper that Donkey working, he bringing company. Before I could get to Liberia, they said, no, you don't have the right, even though you honor your land, but as a senator, you can't touch it.
Conflict of interest.
Else will go to it. I said, yeah. Now I see we're keeping us here to be suffering. Okay. So I got a problem. I stopped it. The company went back in my hand. I took it from there. But it's not so much about me. Forget about Donkey. Donkey is one man. My father died when he was 30 years old. The old people can say, I think I have quadrupled his age. It's not about me. Look, let me give you one example here. Look at Firestone. Firestone before 1987, they were all called Firestone International. 1987, they changed their name to Firestone Liberia. What does that mean according to our business registry? Firestone Liberia must be a local-based company. All right.
We can,
why are they doing that?
We can do
it. There are two questions. Come again?
We can do a research on that and come back later on and provide the information.
No, let me tell you why. Why you do a research? Once our business registry say either you are an international company or you're a Liberian company, they got tax incentive for those things. And that is one of the reasons that I wrote plenary to investigate and come up at next week Tuesday to tell me. Look at Mittal Steel Liberia. What does that mean? How many people in Firestone Liberians in Firestone that have shares there? That you are calling the Firestone Liberia? How many persons in Mittal Steel that makes it a local-based company that have share there? Now, the reason I brought B Mountain in, there are three companies that are contained and everything. The reason I brought B is based on constitutionality. That the resources under the act of the Cape Mountaineers does not belong to anyone but the people of Cape Mount. They are the owners. And so I brought them in because our constitution protects that. So who gave them the right to be grabbing the people's land and be moving forward? Now, as we speak, they are grabbing new land because their gold runs under those particular land.
Okay, so this is where your oversight responsibility comes in. But let me bring you back to a May 27, 2025 edition, the editorial of one of the local dailies in Liberia, the Front Page Africa newspaper. It says here that let me see. That paper criticizes you, Senator Creighton Duncan, for crossing the red line between, defending public service and justifying corruption. The editorial says, in a recent speech, you condemn Liberians who criticize officials for corruption, blaming foreign investors for exploiting the country's resources. However, that same editorial exposes your record of alleged corruption. The editorial did not say alleged. I'm saying alleged because you have not gone to court. You have not been held liable at any court in Liberia, so it is still alleged. Highlighting a 2021 lease agreement with Sino Forest Corporation, a company the paper is reporting that you led as executive director, blah, 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 in violation of Liberian laws prohibiting public officials from engaging in private logging businesses and all of those. That's just a summary of the editorial of that Front Page Africa newspaper.
Think about it. Front Page Africa, with all the destitute that we are going through, and the knowledge they have about international workings, why are they not supporting what I'm seeing, and they are now jumping in, talking about stories that means nothing? I told you about what Diop said. Diop said they use the media to suppress, and they can never suppress me. I just explained to you my mind concept and the kind of happiness Front Page should be saying to our people that the minerals belong to Liberians, instead of talking corruption. Where have Duncan ever been told that he stole Liberian people money before? Or Duncan was putting his money into a company to invest, and you call it corruption. You see how they're so sensitive in trying to keep us down? That's how they use. And Front Page newspaper, everybody knows Front Page. Front Page is a very dedicated paper in this country. And they get sensitive information and nobody knows where you get it from. One of the guys, one of my friends, one of my colleagues were reading the paper that morning because I didn't have the paper. And he said, oh, the CIA newspaper just had you on the front page. I said, which paper? He said, Front Page. I said, oh, really? Then I stopped on the road and bought one of the papers. Look, let me tell you one thing.
And then we can transition.
What I want you to know, this country belongs to us. No one can deport me out of Liberia.
Absolutely.
You know why? Because I'm a Liberian. I'm a Liberian. And I have the right to my country. The more these boys keep us poor, the more our people remain poor.
You sound very vocal. You sound very vocal against.
Under our feet.
You sound very vocal against the West. You could be putting yourself in some problems. I mean, you've been in America. You might have assets there, and all of those. You know what you call sanction and all the kind of stuff. Why you're so vocal? Aren't you afraid?
Let me tell you about sanction. You brought something up that I want us to address. You know that the West told us that certain state official of government were put on sanction, and nobody up to now in this country knows why. And you guys, as the press that have this wider platform to speak to our people, even don't know why, and not asking the question why, but embracing the concept that the West have put sanction on somebody. Now, let me tell you, I gave you one example. Before I give you that example, let me bring one thing to your knowledge here. If you are accused of anything, you are not guilty until you are proven guilty. You are innocent.
You are presumed innocent.
Yes, that's what our laws say. If you come from across the Atlantic Ocean to our country and accuse somebody of corruption, but up to now you have not given a single justification of why that person is corrupt, it becomes questionable. It opens our mind for us to think on what we want to think, because we are human beings. I gave you one example of Senator Nukwe of Magibi. Nukwe is a long-serving senator. He served in the House of Representatives.
The House of Representatives.
He rose up to the rank of being a speaker of the House. To rise up among your men, it's not an easy thing. All the representatives are strong men to be able to win the election to come and represent the people. They didn't question him. They didn't say he was corrupt. Nukwe entered the Senate. After certain years, they come and put sanction on him. And then they can't tell him why. One time they came, about 12 or more of them came to the Senate for some meeting, the American. And in that meeting, Darrows were there, Amara Corner were there, other lawmakers then were there. And I raised the question. I say, how do you think we as a country feel that you impose sanction on a certain senator or other senators and other government officials, with us telling us why they are being accused of whatever crime you have, and you have to put them on sanction? How can they exonerate themselves? That was my question. You know what they told me?
What did
in front
they say?
of all of those gentlemen that just called, I think we were about 9 senators. They said that if they want to exonerate themselves, they must send a lawyer to the United States. Now, first of all, how many of the Liberian lawyers can practice in the United States? Not many. So that means you have to hire a lawyer in the United States. Do you know how much a United States lawyer charge you? The least would be $2,000 per hour. So normally, consider it as $3,000 per hour.
That's a huge.
But the man who is accused can't go there. Yeah, the man who is accused cannot go there. He cannot face the judge. So it is an American lawyer that you pay the $3,000 for to go and represent you in the court. So I was asking him, I said, you know, why will you do that to poor people like us? What came into my mind was, why would Nukwe be put on sanction and was never put on sanction when he served up to the stage of being Speaker of the House, having the national budget under his control as head of the budget? The representatives are where the instrument of our budget begins. They're basically in control. All we do up there is to concord as senator. Now, if he was representative and he was the head of the national legislature, you accuse him of corruption all those years. He have left all of those things now. He comes into the Senate. Then, so what does that tell me? It decided when Nukwe negotiated with SETI, not SETI, but with JETI, for JETI to constructed to the border of Bon County, in order to do what? To process rubber and produce some items that the rubber can produce. And Firestone that been there all of these years don't have the ability to do and will never try to invest into what she is exploiting from this country.
Are you insinuating?
So
are you insinuating, Mr. Senator, that Senator Emmanuel Nukwe, the former Speaker of the Legislature, that's the House of Representatives, are you insinuating in any way that he was sanctioned because of, you know, his association with Mr. Jetty, allowing his company to operate in Margibi County and help Liberians?
Put there running competition with Firestone. How you end it? Then I will begin to answer.
Please answer the question.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you leave my mind wide open to think on why you are putting our officials on sanction.
Okay.
If you have brought your reason and expose it to us in this country, we can read. I went to school in the United States. Right now I got my how you call that thing they can put on your neck against it? My honor, eh?
Oh, yes.
I got it. I was honored. That means my GPA was above. That's what I got from a master's program. Am I a dumb? Hell no, I'm not a dumb. But if you leave my mind to open and begin to wonder on why, I have the right for my mind to gather then and think. And these are some of the reasons my mind are thinking about. That because Jetty will be running competition with Firestone, you suppress Nukwe for that. So what I'm trying to tell you here is we should begin to understand and stop celebrating the downfall of our leaders. This is the playbook of Diop. And it's so big that I just grab a little points. He explicitly explained them step by step, that these are what they do. So we as black people, we as African in the sub-Saharan Africa, should begin to change that narrative.
Okay.
We should begin to stop on condemning, insulting, and bringing our leaders down. Then, you know, that we find pleasure in doing, but to identify the root cause of our suffering and face those suffering.
Okay.
Face those causes and have them change.
Thank you very much. Before we can go, let's quickly address this last point that has to do with ArcelorMittal concentrator that was inaugurated by President Joseph Yoman Boakai. I can safely say that the entire or half of the country in terms of its leadership was in Nimba County for the inauguration of the plant that you see on the screen. What are your thoughts?
The pictures you just showed me, who is laughing most? Is the white guy in the orange jacket. Because he's thinking about his profitability.
Why are you being so critical, Onward Duncan? I mean, even our laughter. Even our laughter.
Look, let me give you an example about this concentrator. First of all, what is this concentrator? That's why you guys on this platform should be able to explain to our people. Look, we have a problem with education in this country. According to Diop, they don't train us to be innovators. They train us to be workers. That's why he said in his book. What I'm saying to you here is the platform you have is so important to help to educate our people instead of condemnation. The concentrator is basically a washing plant or a sectoring plant that separates iron ore from dye. Those that do gold mining or diamond mining, they know. When you dig the dye, you put it in the sifter, you shake it, you put water there, then the gold is left because it's heavier than the dye. The dye goes on one side, the gold will be. It's the same thing with the so-called concentrator that we are celebrating. The concentrator, there are two things that ArcelorMittal was faced with that made them to spend the so-called $1.4 billion to construct the concentrator. Here are the two things. One, the environmental problem that they are experiencing in the countries that they are using to wash or to separate the gold, to separate the iron ore from the dye. They're having EPA problem there, environmental problem. Because when you wash the gold, when you wash the mineral, you wash the iron ore, it is separated from the dye.
Okay.
Where do they put the dye? So I believe in that country that they are doing it, they are finding problem with the Environmental Protection Agency in that country. That forced them to construct it here in Liberia.
Your mind,
number one.
Your mind is gallivanting again.
It has to. Number two, the reason that they constructed it became too expensive as they are exporting those ships that are carrying the mineral, that are carrying this iron ore. Don't charge them based on the separation of dirt and iron ore. No. The ship charge them based on the weight of the iron ore. And that weight, they call it tonnage. So if the ship come to the Cannon Port, if ArcelorMittal put in 2 tons, for an example, to be shipped to Europe, the ship will charge them 1 ton, for an example, $1 for 1 ton. So the 2 tons are $2. They will not say, oh man, we feel sorry for you because all this weight on the ship is not only iron ore, they're inside it. No. That's the problem.
Okay.
They carry those things based on the weight, the ton. So ArcelorMittal over the years has been losing because she is shifting both dirt and iron ore together and being charged for only the two. So point number 2, with her separating the ore, now she is only shipping actual iron ore.
Okay.
Actual iron ore. So here is the problem here. And yesterday, Yan Tuan, the senator from Nima County, raised the issue. Yes, he raised the issue. He said they died. When you were a small boy growing up in Nima, when Lamco had their concentrator there, the waters in Nima County was polluted.
Okay.
It was red from the waste from the concentrator. That's what he said yesterday.
But this is why we have the Environmental Protection Agency and other institutions that have the...
But you saw the president, His Excellency, dynamic Joseph Nyima Boykai. You saw our pro-tem. You saw our vice president. The vice president, I feel sorry for him, Jerry and myself, we were in the House of Representatives together. I know he was radical. Honestly, he was complete radical. I was looking in his face when he was standing there. I know deep in his face, I didn't see that sense of satisfaction.
What would you have done?
Because Jerry knows the truth.
What would you have done? What would you have done, Honorable Senator? Were you in bed with the government, the current government? What would you have done?
Well, but you see, let me tell you something. That's the whole idea, being in bed. But first of all, I can't hold Jerry responsible. Our constitution didn't say that the vice president should make any decision. He can only advise. And if the man don't want to take his advice, there's nothing he can do. They gave the VP the right to what? To basically preside over the Senate. That's his function.
Okay.
And he doesn't even participate in the discussion. He leaves us to go through a bit, and he guides us in going through. But that is not important. What is important to me is you on this platform that reach to thousands of people to begin to make research and look, the revolution starts with you. It's not with Duncan. This liberation starts, not me. Find out the facts. Move your focus on officials of government, criticizing us every day, because all people want to hear condemnation, insults, But if you just shape it a little bit, that 80%, when we deal with the 80% for 5 million people, our livelihood will change.
Okay.
As we begin to face the 20% where corruption is embedded in our society, the corruption is so bad. I'm telling you that for you, nice, she is corrupt. The driver that drive for you, when you get money to go buy gas, you get $100 to fill up your tank, that boy he put the $80 gas inside that tank. The whole country is so corrupt. The teachers, when you give your children, No. That's what I want you to grab. This liberation.
Yeah, but time is not time is not in our favor, Honorable.
Lunch. I gave my daughter, she goes to school. The teacher take that lunch money to pass her because she studied to pass that test. What kind of system are we in? The entire system is corrupt. It's not just a one hand of people. It is embedded into our bloodstream.
It is entrenched. It comes right back to the questions I was asking you from the past.
Emmanuel, instead of just focusing on the part that we've been focusing on from the time I was a child, let's begin now to carry the down. Look, let's be wise. We've been following the one rule since 1847. Nothing changed. Let's change something a little bit to see if it can work.
Okay.
That is why I have launched. Yeah, that's why I have launched our movement. And by your permission, my brother, I will please ask you to indulge. I need to give a telephone number out to my listeners here, so that they can be able to contact us.
Please do.
My telephone number here is 0774 930 194. I repeat that again for you that is scrambling to look for pen and to look for paper. The number again is 0774 930 194. That number is for us to form this movement that will take to our people.
Okay.
With the legislature, I will be there fighting. The Supreme Court, be in the Supreme Court, carrying people to court for the exploitation that they are doing to our people. But I need us to organize in order to sell it to the rest of the Liberians. And forget about this, only corruption. Look at the car business. They say representative and senator driving $45,000 car.
Honorable, we need to find some time, like some kind of 2 hours, maybe come at your office or at your home, and we run the show from there. Yeah, so you can have time to so you can have time to talk about all of these things. Thank you very much for preaching the gospel of policy change or policy reform in Liberia. I think it's cardinal. I want to bash some of the ideas that you are proffering very frankly about policy change or reform in our country. Thank you for sharing breakfast with us this morning.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Creighton O. Duncan is Senator of Sino County, one-time representative. He's been here talking about a shift in, the drafting or driving of politics and, of course, policies in our country. For quite a long time, going or edging to 200 years, 2 centuries as a country, there are things we need to change. I think it requires a holistic approach. The approach, that comes from everyone collectively. But let's stop it here for this Friday. Hopefully Monday morning, we will come back with a renewed strength by the grace of the Almighty. Do have yourselves a wonderful and a productive weekend.